guys?
Good.
Great, Alpa. It's so wonderful to see you.
It's great.
It's 2 p.m. in the afternoon Sunday, a beautiful Sunday in Mexico. And I guess it's 8 p.m. Sunday night for you there.
Yeah, definitely is. I just got off speaking to Greg, the lovely galactic Greg. We had
Yay!
Yeah, so we were supposed to do an hour, but you know, that never happens. It was about an hour and a half. So really lovely, raw, authentic talk. And we sort of staved away from all the stuff that's going on. And we kind of connected in true gnosis with two individuals that are like warriors on the digital arena. And, you know, shared some lovely stories. And yeah, it just, the conversation really flowed very nicely, guys.
That's
Beautiful,
awesome.
beautiful. Yeah, we love you and we love Galactic Greg. So what a great team.
Yeah, and it's so nice to see you, Coleen. I've always said to Charlie that, you know, I'll definitely have to have her on our next show. So I'm really glad to see you. But gosh, how much has been happening?
Wow.
Yeah.
Incredible, hey?
Yeah, and it's hard to imagine, Alpa, but it's only virtually every day will be bigger and bigger and bigger, and it will get to a point where for literally, you know, 40 days in a row, there will be massive bombshell after massive bombshell. So you know, people have been asking and questioning and pleading. When will it happen? When will it happen? I'm getting tired of this, and careful what you wish for.
I know.
Careful what you wish for, because when this does fully unleash, wow, you may be saying to yourself, stop,
Yeah.
stop, it's too much already, stop. So
Yeah.
I think what everybody's really more interested in is getting rid of the COVID. Like I had to go out this afternoon and go do a little shopping, and I'm a hermit, so I hardly go out. But when I do, it's kind of a shock, and it kind of puts me in a not a great space because people are just so dumbed down, and it's just like, okay, at this point, if you give me any more squirts of that liquid, which I just flick away, they make you take it, right? And I just flick it away, and they make you wear a mask to go into an outdoor market. And I'm like, so I'll put it up to here till I pass them, and then I take it down and wear it as a chin guard. And then
do that.
What's that?
I said, I can't even do that. I end up getting, I mean, like yourself, I'm a bit of a hermit, and I'm, you know, I have Kenzo and my garden and my home, and you know, I only go out for essentials, and touch wood, like, I just think I have this look on my face when someone's like, you wear the mask, and I'm just like, no, you know, I just do it.
Here you have to, or they won't let you in.
Here now as well, they're getting really strict, very strict. And I just sort of walk so quickly that I don't think they sort of catch up with me. But look, I've been pushed in a queue, not standing on the cross, and literally pushed by a man who got just while I went to take Kenzo to the vet, and I didn't follow the protocol because I didn't follow the arrows, so he got so upset and annoyed with me, and then he said, you're not staying within your like 2 meters distance. I said, it's okay, I'm all right where I am now. And he got so mad and he pushed me. This was a few weeks ago. But this is, you know, the energies that we were speaking earlier, Coleen, and the energies this week have been pretty hectic, you know, and I'm not the only one. We've been feeling it, and being on this digital arena, this digital war, it does get exhausting. And this is the first week where I've, you know, since March, I've felt, whoa, it's getting really interesting now, and this is where the story is really unfolding, and the exhaustion that I felt. But I generally get like this on a full moon, and I have to then realign, breathe, and really sort of center myself, and, you know, just be aware of it, and just breathe. Yeah, just allow it. So I hear you.
well, and I'm really glad that you bring that up, and because most people just have no idea of what the moon is or what it represents, and it's very important that we understand these things, because the Hermetic principle is the overriding factor to everything within our existence. So as above, so below, as within, so without, as with the universe, so with the soul. everything is a macrocosm to the microcosm that exists within us. And they're both connected, and they're both essentially performing the exact same functions within a duplicate system, just on a micro scale or a macro scale. And so with the moon and the full waxing of the moon's power, this can be an incredibly wonderful, amazing thing, or it can be devilish for sure. And the reason being is that you have to be in charge of yourself and your energies, and then you rule over the mother.
Yes.
Right, because this is the moon goddess Sin, or who rules over emotion. So if you're not prepared to rule over her, she will rule over you. And what she rules over are your 5 physical senses. And then you go around like a lunatic.
And those of us who pick up other people's emotions, right? The more,
we're empathic in nature.
Exactly.
So,
and we pick them up, and we have to learn how to carry that without bringing it inside. And exactly. And so if you don't have time for this, it's super crazy, right? You just get it's almost like PSTD, right? Post-traumatic stress disorder. And at the end of it, like we're almost a full year into this, and it's really weighing on everyone. And if you don't use these methods, these tools, which, you know, life can get crazy sometimes, but if you don't, it shows up so quickly. And especially because of this, the emotions that are going around the world right now are really, really intense.
They are very intense, and I agree with you, Coleen. I think that we don't, I think I, like yourself, very empathic in nature and absorbing other people's energy, but I've learned to kind of master that for these few months, like these 7 months, especially acutely. You know, I've gone on like a soldier, and I don't care if people hate me because I like Trump. I don't care. It's about the kids. It's about the kids. It's about the kids. But something knocked me for 6 about the kids this week, and I think that's what it was. And I don't mean to start off with a sad story, but people who are watching here in the UK especially, you know, this is a real message to them, and I think it's really knocked me off a little bit of kilter. But just a very long story short, my colleague went to a friend's house for dinner the other day, and they just, you know, mentioned about all this coronavirus stuff and just the drama that it entails. And one of the stories that they shared with them is that very good family friend of theirs went across the road to have a cup of tea with her neighbor. Now, a snitching neighbor called the police and basically said that, oh, she's gone across the road, and, you know, she's breaking the rules, right?
I hope they threw the letter of the law at her. Boy,
no, hear what's happened. And sorry, guys, who's listening to this, like, you know, it's just not very nice. And so she went back home distressed. She'd got a fine by the police because of this lady who'd snitched on her because she'd gone across the road while everyone's going insane in this virus that we're all apparently dying up, you know, like flies, you know, it's being zapped like flies in the streets, you know, because it's that deadly. That behavior of hers, she went and told her husband, and her husband, being an Uber driver, finding it difficult in this time, struggling in these difficult times, this is not right what he did. But in his anger, he went and whacked her one because of the £300 bill that was imposed. She fell on the floor and hit her head and died.
Oh my gosh.
And she's a mother of 3, all under the age of 5 and 6. So people need to really kind of understand the consequences of this petty behavior, you know, in the supermarkets, fighting over toilet paper, fighting over masks. And I just think that whacked me at the beginning of this week because it was just close to home, just down the road. So look, you know.
Wow.
And this is where it gets crazy. Sorry to start, like, you know, on these, but
no,
we're just being raw and honest about these energies right now. And we need to, I don't even know if these people are going to be watching something like this, but it's not right. It's not right, this, you know, what's happening at grassroots, but yet we still have to soldier on. We know, like you said, Charlie, realign ourselves every day and keep committed to this fight. And boy, am I committed every single day. I am aware that I'm going to get tired, which I am feeling, but, you know, I see you guys and it always makes me smile.
Well, if I can just quickly address that again, hopefully this doesn't sound trite or anything, but the fact of the matter is that when you have service to self, this is the kind of emotion that can exist, and this is the kind of thing that can play itself out. This is why the basic focus of our existence should be to service to others. And my day, our day, everyone's day should be, how can I help? What can I do to help? How can I help? Let me help is what Greg and I were talking, and Colleen were talking about the other night. Those famous words on that Star Trek episode that Gene Roddenberry used and said that that's what changed from how did mankind get from the problems that we had in the 1960s when Star Trek was originally made to in the future where these were very, very enlightened beings. And Captain Kirk says it's through these three words, even more so than I love you, is let me help. And when we live through the mindset of let me help, anything is possible. And what you recognize is that there are no limitations to what can be done, because hand in hand, elbow to elbow, shoulder to shoulder, we can do anything because we truly are amazing creations of the Creator. And so I don't know how else to put it or to better put it, but when you exist in every single moment to serve God's creation, to serve others and to make others' lives better, then your experience is going to manifest all the joys and gifts that you possibly can. That's not why you do it, but it is the letter of the law, God's law, and that is that to experience the gift of receiving, you have to give. So this is where receiving comes from. It is the byproduct, it is the fruitation, the flowering fruition of the giving. So when you give to others, ye shall then know receive. So if you wish to receive goodness in your life, give goodness unto others, and that shall be thy reality. It is up to you in every moment by the thoughts you take that therefore direct the actions that you do.
And I'm thinking at this point, people are getting too emotional about being fined.
Yeah.
Just don't pay it. You're never going to have to pay that.
You're never going to
Nobody's going
have
to
to
force
pay
you in
that.
the future to pay that.
No.
Like I get that maybe
No.
people who aren't in the know at this point and they get really triggered by the fact that they're fined that isn't fair. None of this is fair, but that's not meant to be
None
fair.
of this is
This
real.
was all meant to take us down. And yes, that's very highly emotional and we all get triggered, but we also have I mean, we can't let the virtues go. We can't hurt other people. I mean, physically, we can't do that.
No.
And that was not right. And obviously, he's going to pay a big price for that.
Yeah.
For that choice.
It's conscious behavior, and while we are aware of so many things, the reality at grassroots is to see and how people are so absorbed with all of this. And we have a way to go. And yes, people are sort of waking up to the nonsense of the tyranny. We had the protests in London yesterday. There were loads of police. I had a few friends that went. They said the energy was epic. They said that so many souls coming together to fight this tyranny. Charlie, if you remember just what you said very clearly in that famous 80s fall of the cabal, takedown of the cabal, is how we become, as you actually said, Colleen, masters of our own life, take the control back, because this is not going to change. We have to all take responsibility for this, and people are starting to, and it warms my heart, really does. And the love that is kind of flowing between people within the community of the awakened people, or the truthers, whatever you want to call it. Kenzo's also agreeing there in the background. Sorry. He's going, yeah, me too, with my toy. So apologies for the noise. But yeah, so there is revolution happening worldwide, and that's what makes me really happy to see that. You are so right, Coleen, become the masters. I love that. I took that with me throughout this journey, to be that master of my life, to be my best friend in this, irrespective of my kind of reservations about coming online and screaming about this. I feel source, divine intervention. I was speaking to you earlier on saying, I don't know if I can do a live. I'm not sure if I'm ready. And then suddenly those nerves just go when I speak to you. It's just beautiful. So thank you.
You're welcome. And listen, another thing, this is a great way to segue in the show and to bring all of your listeners up to date so that they fully understand this.
Yeah.
What have we learned post-election? So what we've all discovered now is that the U.S. election is this key. It is the physical key that is dropping everything. So everything that's coming, and we're going to talk about some horrific stuff today, folks. So you better be prepared for it, because we're going to get into Matt Hancock and what revelations, and then I'm going to release some stuff that I haven't released before. I've been holding on to it. I'll release some more of this gnosis today, and it's obviously going to bother many, but it's the truth, and you need to hear it. But what we've learned through this election is that it's the key. Everything's going to roll out from this, and once it starts, there'll be no stopping this until it's all done, because that's how it has to play out, just in levels. And then we can take a deep breath and begin the process, journey back to level. And then once we get to level, then we can begin to rise, and we can do it if we work together. So here's the thing that we learned through this election. A state like California, okay, has traditionally always voted Republican. And then when the Clintons came to town and ran, Bill Clinton ran for the first time, and I think that was 88. 88 is his first term, 88, 92, 92, 96, and then the twerk Bush. That was the first time that California went Democrat. And since that time, it's just gone massive Democrat, and where it has always been Republican, very conservative values. And, you know, being a Canadian kid who was an athlete, I spent a lot of time in the Western United States being trained and playing international athletics in Washington, Oregon, and California. So I got to know a lot of families, and in particular, Northern California. These are beautiful, 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 strong, beautiful conservative people. And the same for Washington State and Oregon, my goodness. And so to hear the things that are going on and to see the rioting and being in destruction and just the value, I know that's not the case with these beautiful people, because the kids who are my age back then are the adults now, and they would have maintained the beautiful lessons that they learned. So what did we find out about the election? California has always been Republican and always has remained Republican. But wait a minute, Charlie, because didn't Biden, one of the reasons he won is because he won California in a big way, and they, you know, Clinton to Biden, they've only voted. No, it's all fake. They have voted Republican and conservative the whole way through. And when the vote numbers come through this year in California, it will blow people's minds away. When you see how many people came out to vote for Donald J. Trump, it will blow. And then you'll laugh when you see the numbers for Joe Biden. And like I say, you know, a year from now, people are going to go, well, it wasn't me. I never thought that Biden won the election. I knew that was just rubbish, because no one's going to want to admit to the fact that they were like, oh God.
So we've been living the Truman Show.
So we've been living the Truman Show.
I was thinking that today, exactly today, the Truman Show.
Yeah. It's not real. What you have lived for 100 years isn't real. 100 years ago, we had a chance to go with Nikola Tesla to the right and God, and instead we went Einstein to the devil and to the left, and that's the truth. And for 100 years, they have lied to us. Yep. And California is just this perfect example of this reality. No, Charlie, no. No, they continue to vote Republican. They always have voted Republican. They did for the Clintons. There has been cheating, lying, obstruction, destruction. Everything specious has been going on with these devils since the Clintons came to town.
I'd say before that.
And certainly before that, but in the biggest of ways since the Clintons came to town, because it was always going to be Hillary that was going to build on what Bozo started. So
yeah, it's amazing
that's a
how
big
the
one.
media. It's amazing how the media is portraying this here in the UK. The disparity between what the reality is and how they're portraying it. But we know that this is the takedown of the media. So they're really revving up the lies, aren't they? And in the UK, people think I'm nuts. Like, you know, they think that Alpa, the Financial Times, the BBC said like Trump has been humiliated and conceded, and California, it's just a Democratic state, and all this stuff, and Pennsylvania, all the stuff that's going on in Pennsylvania. And obviously, this week has been a bit haphazard, so I haven't been on top of the stories as much, but I keep my eye on it. And every time now when I sort of dip into the mainstream media, just so that I can see the sentiment within the public and with my friends, they think I'm barking mad. They think I'm mad. And they say, Alpa, though, we've got to give it to you for your passion. But, you know, there is, when are you going to concede? I said, like Trump, never. So, you know, we've got to see how the media is really revving things up at the moment. So tensions are high. Like there's just so many different emotions. So,
and the division that is amongst us, it does not help. It's very lonely on both sides, I'm sure, but more for the people who know we can't talk about it because we are barking mad to everybody else, and that's really difficult. And we get so many comments about, I'm so alone, my friends and family have deserted me, and or you know, I've had to leave them, and it's just, wow, this is just going to be a huge healing process after all of this. And it's unprecedented. It's just wow.
Yeah.
And this is why President Trump is very cognizant of this, knows that what the winter solstice represents within us, the Hermetic principle, and knows that there needs to be Christmas cheer and the Yuletide spirit rising within us. So there are things that have to happen. You know, this is why it was so important to unleash the Kraken ahead of General Flynn being fully exonerated, because the process had to start. They couldn't wait any longer. I think it was Flynn who was meant to be the one, not General McInerney, but it was Flynn who was supposed to be the one who went to Frankfurt to take down the CIA server farm, where the election fraud was operating from, and but he wasn't prepared for it, and they couldn't wait any longer. So it started with General McInerney, which is the first wave of this Kraken, and you know, now we're finding out that that it was a contested battle, and that there were a lot of gunshots fired, and there was one CIA operative who was killed during the skirmish as well in Frankfurt, and then all of those servers were saved and collected into evidence. And now what we're hearing is which is beautiful, because of what we know to be true, the truth about World War II and about the German people, is that it's really beautiful to learn that European headquarters for this upcoming Q movement through General Flynn, 19 countries that have signed on to, you know, to spread the wave of freedom, is gonna stand and operate out of Germany, and that's really wonderful. And that it's the German Air Force that's going to be a lot of the legs to get these troops here, there, and everywhere. So it's really wonderful news, very, very wonderful news that Germany has regained itself in its true spirit and is at the forefront of all of this. But Sidney Powell is really, really key, everyone. Very, very, very key. And that's why you have to have this little this little, the media tried to make something out of it. There's nothing to make out of it. Sidney Powell is not working for President Trump as his domestic lawyer. She works for the military. She has a military contract. She's a lawyer for the military. And she is one arm of this goodly godly Kraken that's cracking down on the specious Kraken. And then, Rudy Giuliani and Trump's legal team is another aspect to this. So there are many, many, many layers. Nothing's being left to chance. Everything has all the T's have been crossed, all the I's have been dotted. So this is very, very, very significant that it started already, and they got started without General Flynn, and now General Flynn and his son have put boots on the ground, and they're ready to go. So we're coming very close now to these sort of days of darkness, the 10 days of darkness. The days of darkness was always going to relate to the takedown of these deviled foreign governments and the replacement with temporary bodies until free elections can be held in every single country. And then, so a list was provided. We also helped provide the list that was given for those 17 countries. And then the first thing that started to happen is that, well, if there's Australia, why no New Zealand? And if there's no Australia, or if there's no New Zealand, then, how come there's no South Africa as well? How come we've been missed? And how come? And then it was all the people in the United Kingdom saying, we're not on the list. How did we get left off that list? And we're always left off the list, and it's worse here. And
it's funny, I don't think about that at all. Here we are in Mexico, we're Canadians in Mexico, but I don't even think about, well, what about us? I intuitively know that when they take care of the United States, they're taking care of everywhere. And they're doing it simultaneously right now. So you have to know that this isn't just happening in one pocket. It can't. No. It cannot. I mean, this is the major domino for sure right now, but in America, but they are not, then they cannot leave the rest of the world without taking it down as well. They absolutely have to trust.
That's what the executive order was, wasn't it? The executive order for 2018. I mean, that was a brilliant checkmate. And checkmate situation, I always sat there thinking, yeah, okay, so he's lost the election. What now? And then this revelation of this executive order, and I've got something here saying that it gives the DOJ the power to seize all assets of individuals and companies that were complicit in aiding or covering up this foreign interference in the US elections. So that would of course have to include practically every CNN fake news anchor, every big tech CEO, every fake news journalist and terrorist from the NBC News, the New York Times, the Washington Post, and that actually applies to the rest of the world. So they are complicit in gaslighting America and covering up the massive foreign election interference that just took place. So this was a brilliant article that I had downloaded, and got so many pieces of paper here, but when I find it again, I think that this was just a great catalyst for all us truthers to sort of be directed into understanding that how are they going to get the rest of the world. I mean, I know that they've trust the plan and all of that, but the detail and how meticulous this has been, and to actually get everyone that was inadvertently, which is not a favorable word in the news at the moment, but involved in the propaganda of all the fake news. I can't wait to see this unfold. I mean, I am enjoying the show, to be fair. It's been brilliant. And just an interesting point that Greg mentioned the other day about the symbol of the Kraken with the 13 tentacles and the octopus. And what do you always talk about, Charlie? The 13 Phoenician families. Brilliant.
Nothing is lost. And again, the reason that the good guys know all about their symbology is because it's God's symbology. See, they're the left brain. They're not creative. They don't create anything. They steal and then they twist it. They turn it upside down. And so the 13, and by the way, you'll see the 13 with the 13 bloodline families everywhere. It's so important to them. because 13 is Christ consciousness, and it's all about rising up and becoming Christ, which is why, you know, they can't do it within, they can't connect to God, so they do it by force. And that's the whole adrenochrome process, by the way, because they think that they are the right. These Canaanites, not the children of Abel, but these children of Cain, they want to be the chosen bloodline to receive the cup of Christ, and they want to be the Christed ones. So they see themselves as the Christed ones, Jesus Christ. And no, I'm sorry, but we are the children of Christ. We are the children of Jesus Christ, and that those are the children of Abel, and we are ready, willing, and able to do everything that we need to win this battle, this war. And make no mistake, everyone, this is World War III, and it has been World War III from the wee hours after World War II. This has been going on for a long time.
And these are the things that we have no idea has been happening behind the scenes. People think, oh, it's about power, it's about money, you know, it's just all of those insignificant things when you discover what it's really about. And so I'm going to just read a quote right now, or a little tweet by 3 Days, 3 Nights, and it was about 17 hours ago. Look at your children and never forget this.
Yeah, never.
Never forget this. Every single crime that the cabal did ties back to their depopulation agenda. If Hillary Clinton had won, they would have killed the elderly first, then
the patriots.
They wanted your kids alive to harvest them for organs, blood, sex slavery, and brainwashing. Now that just makes me sick to the core.
Yeah.
But that's what these people have been, their whole agenda. And when we understand that, and this is not nice stuff to bring out at all.
But we have to face it.
But we have to face it, and it's devastating.
Yeah, I know. I get the same. I get the same, sweetheart. And
but that's what it's all about. That's what this whole thing is about. They have to steal heaven by force, and they do it through the innocence, through the blood of the children. And that's just, wow. The Most Highness. We've fallen the furthest we could have ever fallen as humanity. Don't you think that is the furthest you could ever go? And there's only one place to go up, and it's back up to heaven, and we have to get there, and we have to share that with people.
Well, and remember that this is where the term humanity comes from. We're not human beings, and we're not humanity. Hue is not the word we want to be using for ourselves, because hue is a shade. A hue is a pale reflection of whom you truly are. That's why they push hue and humans and humanity and human beings. We are mankind, man or woman, we are mankind, and we are the children of Jesus Christ. Man or woman, we have to go on that same journey to become the Christed ones, because we are the children of Abel, not Cain. These 13 bloodline families are literally, where do you think Phoenicia is? Phoenicia is the rolling hills on the western side of the Holy Land, on the eastern shores of the Mediterranean. When Cain was kicked out of the Holy Land, east of Eden means east, so east of east is west. And that's where the Canaanites went, and the fertile rolling hills of Phoenicia became their homeland, and they became the mariners of the seas. And because they're demons of the left brain, they became the pirates of the seas. Yep. And they stole and they stole and they stole. And when they finally came to the land, they became the pirates of the land. And what's a pirate of the land? A banker. And that's who these banks are. This is what this, centralized banking system is to allow the pirates, which are the Phoenicians, who are the Canaanites. So this is all the left brain and the ego.
When you explain this, Alpa, to people, and you explain this to the people who don't understand or don't believe you, what's the first thing that they say with their cognitive dissonance? I'll share with you what they say to me, but what's the first thing that people say when you say that this conspiracy is taking place?
If it was the case, it would be in the news. Source.
That's
this is, and thank you, Colleen, because like yourself, I get very emotional on this, and I think it's also important for us to like be in the awareness of our emotions about this and have the check and the reality check of it, because it's heavy stuff. So we have to, I don't want to use the word embrace, but we have to accept it to a certain degree. And then we have to ride that emotion, that wave. And if we want to cry, we cry, because this, you guys have been soldiering on for so long, right? And you know, you've been at this for a lot longer than I, and I absolutely honor both of you and people in this journey who write to me and say, oh, Alpa, thank you for all you do. We've been awake for 30 years. I'm like, excuse me, you're thanking me, right? I'm thanking you. Oh my God, I honor you and I salute you, because I think God's divine timing is so true. This was divine timing for me to like literally wake up so quickly in March and have my 3 weeks of just being bedbound, disturbed, you know, purging, feeling all the emotions, etc., slurring and feeling cognitive dissonance to a certain degree myself. Or I wouldn't say mine was cognitive dissonance, because I believed it straight away, even having no knowledge about it whatsoever. So the preparatory sort of journey that I was on 10 years prior, I attribute it to that. But, you know, that initial sort of wake up call was just there. And I thought, right, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to feel all the pain, the grief, the, you know, people are going to have the post-traumatic stress disorder, like you said, Colleen. However, I was like straight away aligned. And here I am speaking to you guys, you know, sort of 8-9 months later still, and realizing that I'm in purpose to help humanity raise awareness about this, but also embrace the other side, the new earth, etc. But the general thing people say to me is just that if it was there, it would be in the news. Or what a lot of Asian families do, and this is not something that I say disrespectfully. So for my Asian viewers watching this, please don't feel that I'm being disrespectful or a snob, or somebody said that I'm full of myself, demeaning Asians. No, they are very much still not acknowledging this, not accepting this, not talking about it. Why? Because generally there's the cultural shame that, you know, that they sort of get stifled speaking about these sort of things, because it's just not done. And I was speaking to a couple of friends in India, and they sweep things under the carpet, and they kind of live in a constant state of cognitive dissonance. And even if they are awake, too afraid to speak up, because guess what happens there? Especially if you're in the public eye, you get killed, right? And this has happened to a few people. So why don't people accept it? Why don't people speak about it? There is a host of reasons. There's a host of reasons. People are not rejecting it. They cannot talk about it because of what's going on within their jobs. Their husband or their wife is, one person's awake, one person isn't. Like, it's finding that balance. So like we said earlier on, we're at such crossroads, great crossroads, because we have the eyes to see it right now in this moment in time. But that disparity has to be kind of recognized and understand everyone's journey on this in this movie that we're in. But what is the response you get, Colleen?
You know what, if that's true, how could they have fooled so many people? How could a small group of people have fooled everybody? They would have you know, ratted themselves out somehow. Somebody would have ratted them out, and they don't get the fact that what you just said is that no, they make people like JFK, public shootings, all sorts of, you know, things like that, where you learn really quick that if you shoot your mouth off, you're dead. And you know that these people mean business if you have any run-ins with them. Yeah. So, you know, we're not stupid. We know that that can happen, but in our case, we obviously are stupid because we keep talking about it. But and here's the thing, in unity, they can't. We are the majority. We need to act like the majority. We're not acting like the majority.
Right. Absolutely.
We're acting like we have no power. We are slaves, and we're pretending we're not.
It's like you share the truth. It's pure common sense, and it connects to God. And people say it with one arm behind their back or their legs crossed or something like this, because they're you know, in a state of trepidity over or fear over saying something that, you know, others will see as you know, a crazed conspiracy theory or something. No, it's the truth. You know, it's the truth. No, it's the truth. and act like it's the truth and deliver it like it's the truth, because it is. And you know, you'll be able to transfer the message successfully when you do so. But so many in this community live in fear. And remember, the truth community has been controlled for a long time, and they own the mainstream media. But no, not the truth community. No, of course not. That's just all beautiful and authentic. Hey folks, listen, until about, you know, we just couldn't believe it, because as I said, I'm deeply connected to John F. Kennedy and Robert F. Kennedy, and spent my life trying to track down their killers and figure out how everything was done.
We've spent many hours in that research.
Oh my gosh, just so much. And then, you know, you come into this community and you hear people, and it's like, yeah, no, there's no connection between the assassinations of Lincoln and Kennedy. What? Lincoln got rid of this United States Bank of America, which is this Federal Reserve Bank, got rid of it, and he produced his own American greenbacks. And then, you know, he's shot in plain sight by an actor, shot in plain sight, you know, on a public stage. And then Kennedy, who, you know, issued his famous order to produce silver, a new American dollar backed by the silver certificates that they had. And people are just going, no, it's just
And what do we hear Trump's going to do? I'm sorry, what do we hear? We hear he's going to bring back the gold standard.
Yeah.
So
there, yeah, there's no coincidence with any of these things. But that's exactly right. You both spoke to this so well. And because it's not in the news, or you know, how could so few get away?
Because they're complicit with it. They're doing it.
Right. And of course,
the demons aren't going to rat on themselves.
The thing is, the food that you eat, which if you wish we can get in, it'll lead to the Matt Hancock stuff. So there's no way to avoid it today. But the food that you eat is the reason why you don't hear the truth or know the truth. And the schools that you send your kids to, and what you read, and you know, where you go, and where you get what you think is entertainment, and wow, everything works against you. Everything is propaganda.
The frequency of everything that we listen to, it's the flickering, I call it that flickering of that switch, that frequency that it emits. It's the predictive programming. It's these programs that they have been doing for years and years, programming the mind. That's why it's called the tele-live vision, and we've heard that so many times. But it's the broadcasting of, it's like spellbinding you. So, you know, and when I said this to my mother, and I explained it to her like this, she actually did listen. She kind of had this weird body language. She was just eating, and I was talking to her, and I yak away, and she doesn't really kind of resonate, bless her soul. And then suddenly I said, "Mum, you are being programmed," and she's looking like, you know, and it's like a broadcasting of a spell. And I was literally doing this body gestures, and she was like looking at me, thinking, "Yeah, she's got a point, but that's what it's doing." And it's the frequency that what we're listening to. I mean, even hip hop and rap music.
Oh, yeah.
The different frequencies that they're on. Now, I said to you earlier on, Coleen, when we were speaking, that I felt really inhibited and cocooned over the last 10 years, because I didn't watch the news that much. I mean, if it was in the background, if I would absorb it, it would start making me feel a little bit funny and anxious internally. So there's a lot of truth in this frequency, because my highest self rejected the lies that were coming on the tele-live vision, right? At the time, obviously, I didn't know. And I didn't concern myself too much in like the latest movies or the latest music. And if it was there on the radio, I used to listen to a lot of podcasts of people speaking about various things other than the news and celebrities. I was not even focused on celebrities or anything like that. So when we've come to where we are now, it's almost like, I'll come onto the mainstream, like speaking on the online. And I really wasn't up to speed with what was actually going on in the world. However, that's why I think my understanding of this was like a gunshot. It was very quick. because I wasn't contaminated. I mean, I don't drink or, I'm vegan mostly. But like, I've always been a vegetarian my whole life. And I don't have fluoride in my toothpaste. I don't really drink any caffeine. I'm so boring. And these sort of compulsions, which is what I kind of gave up, like the coffee. I loved coffee a lot before, but I found it made me quite anxious. So I feel I could sort of see instantly, that this is a lie. You can sort of discern and use that discernment and decipher. And sometimes I may not have time to read so many things, but it's that inner gnosis, if that makes sense. You just know it's almost like someone's put a chip into my head, and it's like I won't have had to have read it, but I will know that actually this is the lie. And even like the same thing with the Tucker Carlson story, it's like I could decipher that quite quickly, what was going on there. So it's these frequencies that we're kind of been hit with. So I can't, and people don't realize that. And that's a shame. Yeah, they're just it's like a really tight screw that we're having to like really undo it. And we've got a way to go, but we've started planting the seeds for sure now.
Yeah, it's an excellent analogy to use as well, because remember, everyone, the whole goal of everything. I mean, obviously this is so clear because it makes such perfect common sense as well. Besides being the basis to all scriptures and all forms of ancient cultures, has been this rising, is the need for us to ascension. Everybody pretty much accepts that as being the answer. Everything that they do comes to us in a very powerful, concentrated, low vibratory form. So it's very low waves. Everything it's a high frequency, but it's a low wave. And the whole purpose of this is to weight you down. So why do you think, I mean, I could go on forever, the reasons why they have you thinking that you need to eat meat, dairy, and eggs. And again, by the way, if you're not going to ascend. Just guaranteed you will never achieve ascension while you're participating in this ridiculous. If you just take the cognitive dissonance out of it and just have a conversation with yourself, you'll see the ridiculousness of what it is that you're doing. And yeah.
Sorry, Kenzo's agreeing with you.
Kenzo agrees 100% as well.
Come here.
And
come here.
So everything that they do is designed to weigh you down into your uncles. That's what the Ankhs of ancient Egypt are.
They become so dense.
They ground
literally, you are so dense.
And you literally become dense. That's why you see so many obese people in the world today, because they want you firmly grounded where you can be harvested as a crop. When you are light, ye shall rise. And so we have to become light, and light is the Father. So, if people ask, like, what is God? What is God? Ultimately, the quickest, simplest thing to simply say is God is photon. God is light. And photon light is this magnetic electrical ether. The ether is the Father, because it's the building block of everything that there is. So the Father is light. So we have to rise. The Kundalini feminine energy within us, all she wants to do is to be allowed free so that she can rise. And then what did Jesus do? He did everything he needed to do, no matter what the consequences, so that he could rise. Christ is the child, the Kundalini, the mother, and then the Father. So everybody is rising, rising, rising. How do you rise? You have to be light. The light as opposed to darkness, yes, because that's the thoughts that you do or don't take, but light as opposed to heavy. And so again, we are fruitarians. We eat raw foods, raw fruit. And most, for example, and by the way, it should be mono as much as you can as well. They're the ones that teach you variety is the spice of life. No, variety is what halts this process of just dealing with the food that you put in, so you can get back to Santa Claus running amok inside of you, creating you into a miracle that can fly and leap tall buildings in a single bound, and all the amazing things that we're capable of if we get out of our own way. So everything they do is a lie. Everything that they do is is a low vibration. Everything they do is designed to make us heavy so we do not rise up. And so why is the news the way it is? Because what does fear do? It grounds you to the ground. And what does eating meat, dairy, and eggs do? Makes you fat and sick, grounds you to the ground. And you watch a Hollywood movie, you watch TV, anything that comes through this system. Going to school is so horrific. It's a good thing I was a good student because I skipped so much school and got away with it because I could not stand to be at that place. It was, I was wise enough to know it was full of shit and I didn't want to be there. And I hung out in bookstores and record stores. And that's how I lived my life.
One of the lucky ones.
Yeah.
I didn't get away.
Yeah. So that's what they do. That's what they do. That's what this is all about. And so we need to rise, and we rise by becoming light of the mind, light of the body.
Yeah, no, and I just wanted to add just very briefly to what you were saying about the foods, and especially with dairies, the casein that they put in the cheese, the casein, and, like all the drinks, the aspartame, and aspartame is so carcinogenic. And all these natural sweeteners, and the labeling of even vegan food, they've got us even on that in that market.
Thank you for bringing that up. Thank you.
Bill Gates.
So they cottoned on, sort of started seeing that, right, okay, well, like society wants to sort of get healthy and fit, and they're going to, all this stuff about steps on your watch and your phone, and everyone wants to start eating healthy, and you can just check your whole life through your phone and through every single app. So, let's just get them in every single way, especially now that the vegan market's just it's become fashionable to be vegan. So let's just zap them in that, and just all the vegan burgers and everything. The soy that they put in is so much soy content. But for me, it's obviously, the labeling of these products is just so misleading. And you have things like, wanted to finish the thing about aspartame. Causes a dementia like nothing, and memory loss, and the carcinogenic content to it's just awful. My grandmother used to drink a lot of Diet Coke. She was hooked on about 3-4 cans a day. I was just speaking about that with my dad the other day, and she got early signs of dementia in her 60s. It's the aspartame in that. Anything diet is not good. Better off having the real one.
It's a player, Alpa, but they leave nothing to chance. So a can of Coke has a lot of things in it. I'm not sure people are prepared to hear everything that's in it. And the cans itself, the heavy metals. So believe me, it's everything. And again, remember this whole, you think you're vegan because you're eating processed foods that are not meat, dairy, and eggs, but they're processed, and processed means they're dead foods. God is the God of the living, not of the dead. So what are you doing eating dead foods? That's what a processed food is. And by the way, the very nature of the word process means that it's a replication of what occurs naturally. So the whole point of processed foods is that it can be done naturally. Everything that is processed can occur naturally, but we don't. And so the question would be, why? Well, because they don't allow that, and that's not what is promoted. So then you just go to a supermarket. And like we've said for ages, if you shop at a supermarket, you're shopping at what's called a death market. And that's all it will do for you. There's nothing, including the fruits and vegetables, which are picked green. There's nothing in a supermarket that will give you life. Nothing.
They agree.
Nothing.
I think our dogs are agreeing today with us.
Absolutely are.
Yeah, no, I mean, and it's the accessibility now to all these organic shops. I mean, they're sort of popping up everywhere locally for us here. So I try and shop in local shops nearby, the greengrocers and places like that. But the supermarket, I mean, even the organic food, Charlie, here, just in the supermarket, I was saying this to, I think it was JCK. I was speaking to JCK the other day, and she's saying that the price of eating healthy, they've just got us with everything. To eat healthy as well. So yeah, what we consume is definitely very important, and knowing what we are eating is just as important even if we think we're eating healthy.
Yeah, the cheapest food in the world is McDonald's, and it's made out of humans. So You know, if you want to be eating cost effectively, then you're going to be eating yourself. You're going to be a cannibal, which is what they are, and that's what they want to promote, is cannibalism. And that's why, and you have no idea how much of this is going on. And essentially, in the last 20 years, again, this is all through when the Clintons came to town, but in the last 20 years, there has been a massive influx in every industry, all aspects. If you eat meat, dairy, and eggs, I guarantee you, you're ingesting human body parts, human blood, human body parts. They put it into everything now. For the last 20 years, if you're eating meat, dairy, and eggs, you're a cannibal.
Even dairy? Are they putting it in dairy?
They absolutely they are. I released this week.
I reject dairy, so I can't have dairy at all. Yeah. So, you know.
Well, I've been sitting on a bunch of information for a while, but I finally released a little bit more of it, and it was just in relation to all this stuff during the election about Joe Biden, and if people, you know, if they were awake, they would have picked up on it. Because Biden, who wasn't out very often, every time he was out, was getting ice cream all the time. And when you listen to him talk about ice cream, he's just obsessed with ice cream. And I can eat ice cream like three people that you never thought were here, but we're here. And it's like, what are you even saying? So he loves his ice cream, and his favorite brand of ice cream is Jenny's. And Jenny's is another one of these companies that actually came into existence through this federal bill that Biden was instrumental in passing years ago when he was a senator. And what you begin to see is that it's all of these very sick, deviled people who get these grants to create very sick companies. And so what Jenny's ice cream, with their very bizarre names, and by the way, the original name for her ice cream was Scream Ice Cream, and it got changed to Jenny's with a nice, you know, sort of flowery script to take away, because there was a lot of sort of backlash to this Scream ice cream. And Nancy Pelosi loves it. And during the lockdown, she said, it doesn't bother me at all, because at home I'm loaded up on Jenny's ice cream. You do some digging, you do some research on this, and what you find is that not just them, but a number of these dairy and ice cream companies are major receptacles for these EpiPens. Now, that's very, very odd. What would an ice cream company or dairy producing company be doing as encouraging the recycling of EpiPens? Well, EpiPens run on adrenaline. Yeah. And then when the little bits of adrenaline are left in these pens, over time, when they become connected with the air, when the seal is broken, when they're used, and there's a little bit of the adrenaline left in there, the air oxidates the adrenaline and turns it naturally into adrenochrome. And then what they are doing is they're putting adrenochrome in these very certain flavors or certain marked cartons. And they're selling this ice cream with adrenochrome in it. And it's why all of these minions, these demons, are big fans of like Jenny's ice cream, and there are other companies that I named as well. You can see it all on
always
Facebook.
Eating ice cream. Jennifer Lopez and all the stars eating loads of ice cream all the time. I heard about this. This is awful.
Yeah, it is. Well, ice cream in and of itself is just horrific. If you knew anything about how they make it, I mean, who would eat it? But nobody seems to know or care. But so that's what they've been doing. Now, it doesn't stop there. And people go, so have I been? Well, I've eaten Jenny's ice cream. So have I been eating adrenochrome? No, you don't get the batch with the adrenochrome in it. You get another batch. And this is what's been going on for the last 20 years, as I said to you in particular. because they've been harvesting so many children. And remember, the basis to what they're harvesting are children. And again, remember we talked about this before with regard to this overwhelming run of stillborn babies and everywhere in the world, but in particular the United States. And then abortion just being such a huge thing, and it's a woman's right. Yay, and you're a good person if you stand up for women's rights. What? Women's right to kill something that's alive inside of them. And this, you're a good person if you stand up for this, and it's a woman's choice to commit murder to its own child inside of them. Look, obviously there's a lot at play here in some cases in terms of how the child got there, but it doesn't change the fact that it's living and you have a responsibility no matter what, you have a responsibility to bring that child to life. And then from there, Coleen and I will happily look after and love and give homes to all of these children if you don't want them. But what they have been doing is harvesting those of us who are the least polluted by everything that they do. So then that would be not just the children, but then it's even the unborn children. And that's where all of the stillborn deaths and abortion comes into play, because they want them as pure as possible. Now, we know from Epstein's Island, this was all part of our Takedown of the Cabal Part 3, right here, right now. That was the one right after the big one with Mark, from Takedown of the Cabal from A to Z. Part 3 was the Takedown of the Cabal right here, right now. And that focused on Epstein Island, and that was Wuhan, China, and then the New Silk Road to Venice. And then that's where we were telling everyone the truth about Walmart and what Walmart was created. Wow. Walmart is never meant to sell furniture. They do it because they need to have a cover for what it is that they're doing. And, and then Maersk shipping attached to it. And then it wasn't enough. So then Evergreen shipping. And then you see that's tied to the Clinton Foundation and George Soros. And they transport live art. So because it's all time delayed live art, then customs officials don't hassle them. That's how they were selling, their exorbitant rates to ship this live art, because they weren't being bogged down with nasty, pestering custom officials because it's live art. Wow. So all of this is, we learned from Epstein Island that even the bones that they're using as the carbon to be able to make these blood diamonds, and then they proudly, like Oprah, proudly wears and shows her, blood diamond ring on the Oprah show and stuff. And then the skin's being used for the Red Shoe Club, of which the Pope is, the master, the Grand Master, and
you heard
and
about
all of the
McDonald's. You heard about McDonald's here in the
That's
UK?
right. So that's right. Now, so with regard to all of this, they've got an answer for just about everything with the bodies, but they don't for some things. And in particular, it's like the innards. But they don't let anything go to waste. So what they've been doing for a long time is collecting them, and then that being the major food, like craft foods that have been around.
What you're
forever.
saying is they've listened to cannibals.
They absolutely at every turn. So that's why I said to you, if for the last 20 years, if you have been a meat, dairy, and egg eater, processed foods, I guarantee you, you've been partaking in cannibalism. They've put it in everything to force feed you to become a cannibal. Because remember, we're the ones that figured this out and shared it with everyone. Cain killed Abel. But he didn't bury the body. Cain ate the body. Cain ate Abel. Cannibal. Cannibal is Cain ate Abel. This is the left brain devouring the righteousness and the beauty and the purity of the right hemisphere of the brain. This is what these people do. They're cannibals. Mm-hmm. So many levels. They're cannibals. And they have forced us to become cannibals. So the food that you have been eating, guaranteed, and especially like Coleen said, anything that's mixed anything that's mixed. So ground beef, you know, the cheapest form of
ground anything, like you were saying, Alpa, with McDonald's, you've got the chicken McNuggets. What do you think is just ground meat? But what kind of meat is in there? What is that? We don't even know if it's meat, to be honest. But so they have been the vampires, and they've made us into the cannibal zombies. Why do you think there were so many zombie movies? Because they were making fun of us, and we just ate it up, right?
Yeah, we literally ate it up. And it's in your yogurt, and it's in your cream cheese, and it's in your sour cream, and it's in your cheese.
What do they put in the dairy? What exactly is in like the yogurts and?
It's the purified remains of these.
The fat that's in our bodies. I can't even imagine.
Well, it's the purified remains. So it's the innards. So they collect them up, purify them, and it makes a puree. And then they're adding this into virtually everything. And remember, what do you know about
like boiling the bones and stuff and making like a jello or something?
Right? Yeah. This is where all of that processed gelatin in what isn't made out of gelatin in the food industry. Processed foods is based on gelatin. Right? So, but it's just cow's bones. Don't worry yourself. We don't care about cows, right? Don't care about cows. Now, because you didn't care about cows, no, it's human bones that they've been using for gelatin as well. It's in everything. For the last 20 years, if you have partaken in processed foods and meat, dairy, and eggs, you have been a cannibal. And I'm sorry to be the ones to tell you, but it's important, because moving forward, we have to change. We have to change. Again,
to be clear though, they will not be doing that anymore, right? They cannot be operating those systems anymore.
That's right. Everything has been taken over, which is why everything takes so long to do. And all of these corporations have now been taken over and are now being controlled by righteous people. But it's a process. It's a process. Cool. It's an incredible process.
Still doesn't take away from the fact that we are murdering sentient beings on a grand scale. So how much we're a few levels above the adrenochrome vampires, but I mean, our practices have come from them, and we must change our ways. We have to see what we're doing, get rid of the cognitive dissonance. We have to, when we know better, we do better, and we have to know. So we're sharing this information to help people understand so that we can change. We can be the change that we want to see in the world. We have to.
Again, like Alpa mentioned earlier, very quickly to bring this up, a naturally occurring protein that occurs from dairy, and this is just cow's milk, okay, is called casein. It's a casein protein. Now, casein is something that is so disparate that the human brain, when it enters into the bloodstream, the human brain doesn't really know what to do with any of this food, because it's not food. It's not for us. But what it does with cheese, okay, so it's dairy. So anything dairy, but worse with cheese because it's concentrated. We'll get into this in just a sec. But with casein protein that comes from cow's milk, your body stores it and it first greets it with receptors from the brain that are the same receptors that are used to greet heroin. So casein is so horrific and devastating for our bodies that the same receptors to receive heroin are being used to receive casein. Casein is what naturally occurs in cow's milk. Now, what's the problem with cheese? Because to make a block of cheese, a 1 kilo block of cheese, it takes 50 cups of milk. 50 cups of milk. So as bad as 1 cup of milk is for you with that casein protein, cheese is 50 concentrated cups of milk in a block of cheese. And you are eating the very things that are killing you. And again, this is literally heroin. Literally is heroin.
Yeah, I'd like to just add to that, because I used to eat dairy. So I've been a vegetarian my whole life, but then I started getting a lot of gut problems and a bit of psoriasis, and doctors didn't do anything, right? So on my own accord, I went down this journey, spoke to some naturopaths, was working in a healing spa, etc., etc., when I actually learned about true nutrition. And this is cut out dairy and everything from your diet. And I didn't really eat much, but I loved my cheese. I love cheese, and it just really made me feel sick afterwards. So when I cut dairy out of my diet straight away, there was like this withdrawal symptoms from it, because it creates what's called like a Alzheimer's reaction into your body, right? And so you sort of go into this kind of brain fog, and I cut everything out, like gluten, dairy, etc., and I completely healed everything myself, right? It took a long time, took a long process, and sometimes even if I go off kilter and have a little bit of bread, for example, with gluten, I can kind of feel a lot of brain fog and disorientation and lose my train of thought a lot, you know? Yep. So this stuff that you were saying, this casein, is like almost like heroin. It keeps people addicted. And I just wanted to say that the cheese that they keep on pizza, let's just look at the analogy here, right? They're keeping, like, what is the most popular food? Junk food. It is pizza, right? Yep. And they have made pizza with this cheese, right? That's addictive, that keeps us wanting to, like, oh, I don't care. There's one food that I can't ever do without, is pizza. Slice of pizza. I know that, I've been there myself. I love pizza. I don't have it now. You know, I make my own sort of raw food pizza, but look at that. Think about that. You know, it keeps us addicted to things without us even realizing. Just the chemicals in it, you know?
Yep. And again, it is pure heroin. And again, there are a number of research groups and universities that did studies on this when it came out. There was an original university in the Midwest, I think it was out of the University of Minnesota, did the first report on it. And then what they found about this casein protein was staggering, overwhelming. And so a number of different organizations did reports on it. And what they found is that exactly right. The number one addiction is food. Clearly, you just look around the Western world and people are massively obese. And it's because that the basis to Western food is dairy, and dairy is casein protein, and it is as addictive as heroin. And that's how the body receives the casein protein with heroin receptors, because that's what it is to the body. So you can't make this stuff up. It's just incredible. Or you could have a mango. Like we are the ones, I made up an incredibly beautiful meme for this. We are frugivores. There are 4 different types of creations that consume food, sustenance to survive. There are frugivores, there are herbivores, there are omnivores, and there are carnivores. And we human beings are none of them, because if you examine a carnivore stalks its prey, and then it kills it, and then it laps up the blood. And if they eat anything, they only eat the organs, and the reason is because the organs are filled with blood. They are blood drinkers. So that's why the coronavirus was called the coronavirus, because in one word, right? Just one word. It wasn't 2 words. It was one lengthy word, which is really odd, right? That's how I was able to break it down, because it didn't sit right with me, because it's 2 words, coronavirus, but they made it a 1 word. So I started to play around with the letters, and that's how I came up with carnivorous. So there is an anagram for the coronavirus as 1 word, and it's carnivorous. That's who these people are. They're true carnivores. They eat raw flesh. They drink blood. They are real carnivores. We, these humans, not mankind, because there's no kindness in killing an animal and cooking it up. Nobody cooks their food. Animals that were kicked out of a forest because of a fire, when they return back to the forest after a fire, and there are animals that have been cooked because they got caught in the fire, they do not eat cooked flesh. They don't. Carnivores don't eat cooked meat. They only eat raw, and sure. The only ones that eat like muscle and flesh are the hyenas. These are the runts of the litter, the last people. They pick at the bones, right? And they're the only ones that are eating like the tissue and the muscle and the fiber meat. meat, because the ones who make the kill and the in between, they don't go for
So
that crap. Only the bottom feeders, and that's what we are. They have treated us like the true slaves, and we're bottom feeders.
This is the program. They've programmed us into eating flesh, and because they say it's in the Bible and such, that we've been taught those things. But when we discover what they really meant when they said mete, and the meat, and what the Bible really means, when people discover that, like the Christians and all those who've been indoctrinated with all of this since the beginning of time.
What about dogs? What about dogs? What do you feed the dogs? Do they?
Well, our dogs are
what do you feed dogs?
Yeah, they're vegans. Our dogs are vegan.
They're omnivores.
So they're omnivores. They can exist beautifully. Colleen's going to do up a little video.
Cats, however, are carnivores.
Yeah.
So I don't know how the progression of animals have gone and why they need to do that, but they do.
So what do you feed your dogs?
Well, we've gone over this so many times, but the baby, no, it's okay. It's okay. So because it's so much, and of course we have so many dogs, we have to do it twice a day.
This is what takes
up the majority of our time. So I do some and Colleen does some. So what Colleen does is she makes a beautiful puree of just raw fruits and vegetables. Okay. Right. And it's incredible. And then what she does is she takes a mixture of chickpeas and beans, and then we're just giving them whole to them now. So they're cooked for a long time over low heat for the dogs. They're steamed. They're just steamed for them. And then those are the two things that Colleen does. Now, what I do is I take white rice, lentils, locally grown soy, the pulp from our juicing, so just fruit and veggie pulp, and then I use the linseed powder, which is very, very important for them. And then so that's what I create, and then I mix it into a gigantic container to feed them. That only feeds them once.
Yeah,
that feeds them once. So I have to do that twice a day. So there are times, like, during this whole season of making all of these videos that there I am while the video is rendering, and it's taking 40 minutes to make the file before then I have to compress the file so that it's a smaller file to upload to YouTube. So during those, there I am at 3:30 in the morning making that second batch of food for them when they get up at 7 in the morning and they need to have breakfast. So it's a commitment of love for sure, but we do it because they are so healthy. And it's life. You're giving them living foods. And so that's what our dogs eat. And again, they're incredibly healthy and their coats are beautiful.
But the cats definitely, we don't have a vegan recipe for them. They go and hunt. They do. You
can't control them at nighttime. God created them the way He created them, and it's not for us to judge. So it is what it is. So
that's really interesting. It's just everything has to be conscious, doesn't it? What we do. We have to have conscious thought with what we're consuming, right from the foods, and reading the labels and being knowing what to look out for just from whatever we order, like whatever we buy. We have to really be conscious in our purchases for sure with food. We eat a lot of pulses. Our Asian diet's very Gujarati diet. That's Gujarati, so it's a lot of mung beans and chickpeas and a lot of spinach, a lot of greens. And lots of salads and dals. We have a lot of dals, and of course we don't eat meat, so it's quite a basic diet, but very nutritious, like all the foods that we eat. But I got my mum to sort of cook more raw now. We don't really overcook the food at all. So, and not with lots of oil. We use a lot of coconut oil in all our foods, and just all the pulses that we have, lots of greens. So and
so here's just really quickly for your listeners, because this is just so important. This is what Colleen, myself, Josh, and Michelle. This is Josh X. This is what we teach. This is the truth. Nobody wants to tell you this, but this is the absolute truth. all your cells require is a natural sugar, and that is glucose, okay? In some cases, it can become fructose, but it's just glucose. And that's it. And the simplest, easiest way for us to be able to, our bodies to be able to get this perfect raw natural sugar, glucose, is from eating raw fruit. So that's why we are frugivores. Again, no one has ever challenged us on this, because you cannot. 100%, we are inside and out, we are frugivores, okay? So the chimpanzees and the orangutans and the gorillas, again, look at the biggest, strongest, smartest, most peaceful, family-orientated, loving, athletic creations in the animal world. They're all frugivores. Strongest, cleverest, brightest, peaceful, family-orientated are all frugivores. They all just eat raw fruit. Some vegetables, some, that's us. That's all we are. We eat raw foods, and in particular, just raw fruit. And, you know, one of the things that just struck Colleen and I as incredible is that we looked at, you know, just there's so many people that live way to the north or way to the south. And it just seems so weird, because we moved to Mexico, and this is within the golden zone. And the golden zone are between the two tropics, the Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn. This is the golden zone because the growing year is every single day. It never stops. You never stop growing your food. It's on all the time. So when you start to look at the map of the world, which would be a flat Earth map, when you look at a map of the world, what you are struck by is how many people don't live in this golden zone. You would think that's where everyone would live, right? It just makes perfect sense. We're always fearful that we're going to freeze to death. We're always fearful we're never going to have enough food and stuff. What are people even living in Canada for, right? It's just so much of it is a frozen tundra. And yet, you know, we live in Canada. Why aren't we? And then you look at the Sahara Desert, okay? And well, it's like, well, Charlie, come on, use your brain.
They built a trap for you because you aren't really allowed to just migrate wherever you want, whenever you want, because there's borders and there's all sorts of restrictions, and so you can't.
But if you're a criminal, anyone can come to the United States. So just come on in there, get in there.
Yeah.
But so you look at the Sahara Desert, and it's like, well, that takes up a huge portion of this golden zone of Sahara Desert. And it's like, well, Charlie, you can't live there. It's a desert. It's like, no, God is genius. There's an ocean of potable, beautiful water for the Sahara Desert. It's just below it, you know? And the reason is because if it was above it, it would all evaporate back up. So it's below and it's all protected. And that's, by the way, there's so many of these oases in the desert, because every so often, you know, there's a sinkhole and the water is able to percolate itself up to the surface, and then without any fertilization or anything, just in fan, and then this oasis is perfection beyond description, and it grows anything and everything, and it's the most perfect place in the world to live, are these oases. So if you just watered the Sahara Desert, what would the Sahara Desert look like? Nobody seems to get this. Nobody.
But we will. But moving forward, right, Alpa?
Yeah. There's a lot of information that I've even sort of opened my eyes to, and I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm just taking it all on the chin, yeah. But somewhere inside, I'm like, whoa, really? You know. So I think it's a lot for people. I mean, we're still dealing with people fighting over masks at the moment, Charlie, you know, at grassroots level. You know, when we talk about all this stuff, it gets exhausting for them, because like you can't even have these type of conversations with these folks, you know. So, but yeah, you're right, Coleen, we have to be patient, definitely. And yeah, very patient. But I just wanted to go, while we're on the subject of food, Charlie, we were speaking earlier on about pizza. Yeah. So, because I know that there's been a lot of questions about this as well over the last few days, a bit of a social media frenzy about Matt Hancock and his like for pizza. So, you know, his expenditure of 50,000 was it, and taxpayers' money ordering takeaway in a restaurant that has a secret menu that requires a password called bonbons. Remarkably, like Comet ping pong, yeah, Comet ping pong. It has a little heart symbol in the signage. What must he be ordering? So yeah, could you shed some more light there? Well, obviously it's obvious, but
again, there are so many that have been executed, and you know, we don't want to get into all of that, but there are a lot that have been executed. These demons that were not chosen to play a role were just eliminated, and rightly justifiably so. And certain ones have been asked to play a role, and these are the ones that are going to avoid the death penalty, and they're going to get life in a military prison. And Matt Hancock is one of them. He absolutely is. But so when you get angry with that and just say, no, why did they make a deal? Why did they make it? Because at the end of the day, when all of this comes out, we're so close. That's why it just came out. I mean, he's been doing this forever, but it only just came out now. And the reason that it came out now is likely because JFK Jr., who's been behind the releasing of all of these major things, right? All of a sudden, chemtrails, who released that? All of a sudden, maybe we need to be thinking about the shape of the earth, who released that? All of a sudden, again and again and again and again and again, dinosaurs and you know, no fossil fuels. Who's been releasing all of this stuff bit by bit, climate change, bit by bit, just putting this out there into the public narrative so it's not a massive shock to the system when all of this has to come out. So suddenly it just appears that Matt Hancock, and there's this restaurant, and there's a secret code, and the code is Bong Bong. And by the way, you know, very famous game.
That's the name of the restaurant, I think, was Bong Bong.
That's right, which is, you know, like Alpa said, very close to Comet Ping Pong. And
which we know is the Pizzagate, which is the horrible things that they were doing.
Right. And so then this mimics Barack Obama, because, you know, he fitted a $58,000 bill for a hot dog and pizza party. So then you just, you know, thanks to Julian Assange, who's coming. Julian Assange is not forgotten. He has played a massive role before this. People don't fully understand what he has done and what he's sacrificed to play this role, you know, as part of this great family that's doing all of this. But he's not forgotten. He's coming back. He's going to be playing a massive role.
Major important part of the Q team.
That's right, a major, because you know, through the election now, the rest of this truth bombs are going to just come firing, and justifiably, rightly, perfectly, beautifully, poetically so, that it should be Julian Assange who's going to be dropping, you know, the rest of this stuff on these demons. And so this is all going to come out. And so Matt Hancock has been playing a role. He's the most hated person in the United Kingdom.
Yes.
And when it gets to a certain point, people are going to want to rip him to shreds. And by the way, that's why they are so willing to capitulate to Trump and play the roles that they're asking to play, because they know that if they were let alone on the streets, they'd have to go into hiding forever, because if they were ever found, they would be just torn from limb to limb when all of this comes out. So he's playing a role, and
what
he's
about
playing
the new puppets like Rishi Sunak and Priti Patel? Are you aware of them? Rishi Sunak?
Say that again?
Rishi Sunak and Priti Patel, the new puppets that have come on this year.
You know, because they need more people, because a lot of people who were not willing to capitulate had to be taken out. Right. So they need more people to come to the forefront, or just fresh energy, or, you know, people that they really have under control. And what they like to use are people who have participated in the cover-up, but not in the children
stuff.
And, that's right. And so you know, these are people that are going to prison, but are going to get reduced prison sentences.
That's why I think they use people like body doubles or clones or whatever you want to call them, because I don't think Biden, I'm absolutely would have been involved with the children, and same with the Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi. So I think that those maybe are, well, body doubles. I mean,
Yeah,
Hillary Clinton
definitely. Oh, Biden's not the real one. I mean, he's controlled by something, by just the way he speaks. His earlobes are different, and if you see the shape of the mouth and this part of his forehead, if you've got pictures of the old one and the new one, and same with Nancy Pelosi. So whatever they are, clones, body doubles. I mean, yeah, they're just not them. They're not the real ones. That's for sure. Even the Queen. You know, Prince Charles. If you saw Prince Charles in a Sky interview and his hands, they just look like little stubs. I was like, what's going on with that? That's not Charles. His nose. Yeah.
It's not at all. And it's not even a close replication of him. I mean, from a distance, maybe, but I mean,
no, not even that. Yeah. But the ears, if you look at the earlobes of a person, it's very telling, yeah, how they, so if you've got, look at Biden's ones, they're like glued to his chin almost, right? And they didn't really look at the detail, did they? They didn't get that right. I mean, he's just like, you know, the main Democrats.
They want to put the truth out there in plain sight, and they're counting on the fact that the average individual is not Sherlock Holmes. They're not doing deductions.
So you're intimating then that the white hats are doing all of this.
So it's the fact that we're just really desensitized, right? As humanity, yes. Like people, like for me, it was straight away. So desensitized to obvious things, though. These are so obvious now. I mean,
the elephant in the room, right? We can't see it.
And again, this is a big theme for the show today, and this is the traumatization of mankind into humanity. And you were a lot of times today, Alpa, you've mentioned this loss of memory. Remember, everyone, when you're in your left brain, when you're in that dying brain, that's the fear brain, and that is facts, figures, and logic, that you're ruled over by your ego, and the ego uses fear to control you. Fear you can't remember. You can do a test on yourself. Just get yourself into a lather. Be very angry about something, and just have a little tantrum. Then try to remember anything in the previous 5 minutes, and you're like, oh my, that's incredible. I can hardly remember anything. Fear has no memory.
Yeah.
The right hemisphere of the brain is memory. So again, when we have this reality of the reincarnation around the great wheel of life, the samsara, and people avoid the door to the right, the moksha. So that's my way out. You can get out anytime you want. All you have to do is cast thy net to the right, and you get out the moksha to the right, up and to the right. People go around and around and around the paddle wheel of thumping. And they never catch on to this, and they never remember. They don't even have moments of deja vu. Most people don't even have moments of deja vu. Why? Because the left brain and fear can't remember. So what this is telling you is that your previous life, whatever it was, you were in fear. That's how it perpetuates, and we get more in fear and more in fear, and we can't remember a thing. Of course you can remember, it's all there, and all you have to do is go to the right hemisphere of the brain, which is creation by the creator. That's the right hemisphere of the brain.
Yeah. The deja vus, though, I get like a sense of like just this knowing with energies and people, like, I just will see someone and there'll be a remembering. I think sometimes for me, it's the short-term memory. And this is all about, this is quite pertinent to the ascension journey, that we all are the different sort of frequencies, we're all elevating. So this is just a lot of mixed energies. So I have a long-term memory, really good. It's just sometimes in my short-term, and I have to just learn to breathe. That's just the thing that I need to do, really, not be in that state of anxiety or fear. You're right. We just breathe.
Yeah. Short-term memory failure is the foods you eat and the breaths that you do or don't take. It's literally that simple. So one of the things, as we're getting sort of later into the show today, and something that I think is just so important for us to do and to really, attempt to make clear to everyone today, is that you're hearing lots of stuff that things are happening. And I think virtually most people that are awake, even semi-awake now, realize that a lot of things are happening. So it's moving. So the Kraken has been released and the tentacles are now moving, and it's got its fingers in so many different pies right now. But everyone knows that the machine is moving, and this machine is the takedown of the cabal, everything that's remaining. And that's right. It won't stop until it's all done. So we're now in this process. There's nothing that can stop this. This is what they've been saying all along, that there's nothing that can stop this. We're in that now. We're in that process where nobody, not even the Q team, can stop what they have now started. So we're in this process, whether you like it or not, for massive change. And every day it's going to get more and more and more and more. And it'll be, it'll just build upon itself exponentially. So you might get to a point where you say, whoa, day off, there won't be any days off. So what I want to make clear to everyone is that there's a plan for each and every one of you. No one has been left behind. What they meant and why they chose, or whoever is behind, literally attempting to make this connection to the Kraken Corps, Flynn, and taking down these foreign governments in 17 nations. No, they're not going all the way to Australia and go, should we take down that evil witch, Jacinda in New Zealand? No, let's just leave her. Let's just let those poor New Zealanders be tormented again and stuff. Of course they're going to take her down. If they're going all the way to Australia to take down those demons, yike, and rid the earth of them for good, then they're not going to bypass New Zealand, and they're not going to bypass South Africa, because, you have to go around the Cape to be able to get there. So, might as well. And hey, listen, if we're in South Africa, might as well deal with the atrocities in Swaziland. Might as well. It's the size of a postage stamp. Let's just do it while we're there. No one's going to get left behind. I swear to you, this plan is for everyone. Everyone. America has to take care of themselves first. Okay, they have been designed from the get-go to be a good leader of the world, and they've been turned into evil. But it's a country filled with beautiful, good, caring people that have just been traumatized by the weight of these demons. And
it'll be the model.
And it will be the model, and it's from the model, and that's why he's the model president. Get this? The last show that he was on was The Apprentice, right? Because it's signifying in the Bible, the journey of the Bible, from the apprentice to the master, the master. Donald Trump is the master president of the entire world. Yeah. The entire world. So he's showing you how to do it right. And all these leaders that are going to follow that example. And so now, what are we getting to see with Donald Trump in the last, just week, where all of this has now been released? There's no stopping this. Somebody with the press corps, the White House press corps, treated him yet again with massive disrespect. What did Trump do? Tore a strip off this person. Don't you dare. I am the president of the United States. You treat this position with respect. Damn right. Damn right. And it's about time. We don't have hot dog and pizza parties in the Oval Office, Barack Obama.
Yeah.
Who's already gone. You're looking at a body double.
Yeah.
Pizza and hot dogs are code for children.
Yeah.
This is horror beyond horrors, and no one is exempt. So with the beautiful people of the UK who have been front lines like America, it's been the worst. And everyone forgets Italy.
Yeah, and Italy.
It is, and everyone forgets Italy. Italy at the core of it is a country unto itself, Vatican City, and they own all of Italy. And so that's why Italy and the UK are not part of that list of 7. There's a special plan coming because you have these separate countries. The City of London is not part of the UK. It is a separate country. And the same with the Vatican City. It's a separate world unto itself.
And
Washington, D.C. These are separate, that's right, separate plans for these countries, separate plans because of the very nature of being part of this evil, unholy, upside down trinity. And so Britain, you are not forgotten. There's an amazing plan for you. And I always say, think of Guy Fawkes, think and remember the 5th of November.
Yeah,
and I mean that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean that, because this is going to come right to the doorsteps of Parliament. I kid you not, because this is where the demons have been hiding in your beautiful country. They've been hiding on the steps of Parliament. The House of Lords has been above the law, no longer. And remember, like we have pointed out, not one British politician, not one has been taken up on child molestation or any adrenochrome. Nothing. Not once has a British politician, and it's been the headquarters of politicians and pedophilia.
Awful here in the UK, really bad, and people dig deep and find out the people that they've supported here in the UK are horrific. When I went to the protest, the very first protest in the UK, just by Marble Arch, I was told later, I was walking down as the protest began, and I just suddenly started to cry for no reason, just started to cry. And they said to me that Alpa, it's just, you're walking across one of the tunnels. And I mean, obviously we're protesting about save the children, and that was one of the first ones here in the UK, and I just started crying, and I've said to myself I had to stop one of my shows because of it. So the UK is, I mean, I think about India as well, Afghanistan, I'm actually China, the whole world. And if you see, I don't know if you've seen some of Gene Decode's stuff, but he talks about the tunnels, and there's a good one that I saw the other day. I didn't finish it, but oh my gosh, I mean, this gets us aghast as well. And the pedophilia with the hiding of Jimmy Savile by the BBC, these media organizations are so complicit in the abuse of children, and I've been screaming about this, and I don't care what anyone thinks, but yeah, apparently, Charlie, in the UK, and correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but there's rumors, I've seen some, I don't know how true this is, but there have been arrests for some of the MPs in the UK.
Oh,
600.
Absolutely. Long ago, because remember, folks.
And recently too.
Yeah,
very recently, about more about the COVID situation. So
that's right. And there's another thing, again, for all the people that don't want to believe any of the heavier stuff, just look at it at this level. Share with your family. What they've done with regard to the COVID hoax is a class action lawsuit by 7 billion people that will result in life imprisonment and a seizure of all their assets. They have nothing to live for. There's nothing, the fact that you in the UK still think that you have a police force or potentially a military, the British military is now 100% on side with the American military. All the militaries of the world are united now around this. So there's no militaries left for them. All they've got is their little Freemason controlled police forces. That's all that's left.
Exactly what it is.
Yeah, and so, but if you think that there's any power there, there's none left. It's an empty shell. Push it over, knock it down, take back, don't stop, keep pushing until it breaks, because it's a house of cards now. I've used this analogy so many times, but it's never been more true. In the UK right now, all you're staring at, I guarantee you, all you're staring at is a house of cards. There's nothing left. There's nothing left. Matt Hancock is under arrest. He goes home with a military escort every single night. He has a suicide pill inside of him. So if he attempts to say something that he shouldn't or try to bolt somewhere, they will activate it and he will be dead of a heart attack in seconds. There's no way out. There's no way out. All that's left is the illusion that you are still controlled. There's nothing.
Watch V for Vendetta.
Watch
when you see little Evie. I
still want to watch this.
You haven't seen it?
No, I've got to watch it. I know.
Wow.
Well, I don't want to wreck it for anybody, but just watch it, and you'll see that the whole thing that's playing out now is what the whole substance of the movie is about. So Beautiful, beautiful homework to do. Just
no, I know. I've been, every time we've spoken about it a few times, Charlie, on our shows, and I just never get around to watching it. But yeah, no, that is going to be on my watch list tomorrow for sure. But yeah, I mean, I'm so glad, you know, that we're coming to sort of, I hope, the disclosure of some of these people in the UK, especially with how much they hid with the children with Jimmy Savile. That for me is just like, whoa. Rolf Harris, you know, these are people.
All the prime ministers.
Royal family is, I mean, you know, that it's just despicable, really is. But look, we're coming to a place now where I think a lot more people are kind of questioning, where have the royal family disappeared to in this crisis? Yeah, what's going on? And
I think sorry, go ahead.
No, it's fine. You go.
I was just going to say at the end of this, we should put the clip of Prince Charles talking in an interview about he is a descendant of Vlad the Impaler. And then that will explain a few things of what the...
Yeah, no, we should do that. Yeah, no, do that. But yeah, the royal family, just definitely people are waking up. And I'm loving the fact that in certain cities as well, such as Manchester, in Liverpool, and of course here in London, you know, people are rising up and standing up, and which is what is you were saying from sort of April, May, you know, that this is what we need to do. We need to take back our sovereignty. And it's good to see, but yeah.
No more human beings. We have to go back to becoming mankind, and mankind is a kindly man and womb man. That's what we're all. We're all men, and there's the male version yang and the female version yin, the yin and the yang, and that is the man and the woman, and we are mankind. And when we become kind once again, you watch the gifts from God shower down as purple rain, the bliss of living under God's protection and tutelage and wisdom and guidance. This all comes from just being our namesake, kind. So it all begins when you change. Stop thinking about, this is horrible, this is wrong, I don't know how I can do this anyway, and just turn on a dime tomorrow, your left brain, and go, no, I'm not worrying about this. I am not going to work. I am not going to wear a mask. I'm going out tomorrow, and I'm going to help as many people as I can, and I'm just going to see what comes of it. And you watch what happens to you. Your life will never be the same again.
Remember, we're the majority.
Yep.
Act like it.
I can attest to that for sure. The moment I decided to speak my truth and say, no, this is wrong, and I don't actually care. And I remember the date as well. In July, you know, I made a stand, and I said, yes, I'm not going to stand for this tyranny for a start. But when it came to the children, I said, no, I don't. And I remember praying. I just said, God, I know that this is going to be a journey, you know, path of truth is the road less traveled. But at this point, in this moment in time, please bless me on this journey, because I get rid of all these fears that I have about speaking in public and, you know, stuttering when I speak, etc. But this is about the children, and it got me sort of revved up, the right, you know, conducive energy, the conducive anger, so to speak, and to speak about it and not give up even when I felt like giving up within sometimes, but I don't know, you know, I just look at a child now and I think, I will do this for you, my nieces, my nephews, my friends' kids, and the people that don't, where I'm not very popular right now, it's okay. Their ego is not coming in. Oh, I'm going to start crying in a minute. I don't want to cry. Sorry.
And Alpa, you've been amazing. You've been amazing. God has absolutely blessed you. You have done an incredible job. And moving forward, I've shared this with you and Coleen. I guarantee you, you're going to play a huge role. You won't be working for any bank any longer. You're going to play a huge role in the restoration of mankind. And you were born to do this. This is why you're here, Alpa. And let me tell you something. You hit a home run. You bottom in the ninth, and the bases were loaded, and we were down to our last strike, our last out, and you nailed it out of the park. You did it. You did it, Alpa. You're a hero to so many people because of how strong you have been. So we love you. We love you. That's why we've connected with you. You notice on Freak Sense TV, Colleen and I do not connect heavily to really much of anyone, because Freak Sense TV has to be pure. It has to only be the truth. It just has to be the pure truth. And we have steadfastly connected with you because that's what you are. That's who you are.
So
you're part of our family.
Thank you. And honestly, like I sometimes, I never wanted to get emotional on screen, but it does consume you sometimes. I mean, the energies that this encompasses, right? There's heart, there's soul, there's the compassion, there's all of this. And then, you know, what was upsetting me so much before is that when you're speaking about this, going back to what we were saying earlier on, Coleen, that when you're actually sharing this information, I appreciate that it's heavy stuff. I get that. We're all feeling it, all of us, we are. But, you know, the uproar, the craziness, I've said this time and time again, and I'll repeat myself until I'm blue in the face about this, but if we are goodly, godly, compassionate people and able to have and make a stand against someone like George Floyd, whether all the people that I knew were putting the black squares on their Instagram and completely supporting this cause. I understand that they've been programmed so much, but it was hurting my soul that I'm telling you about the children. I'm talking about the children, and you guys can't, you're accusing me of being racist about, you know, not supporting George Floyd. Is this what's happened? And then you have to go back into centralizing and centrally aligning yourself to understand what's going on with their programming, come back to a place of no judgment, and carry on and steadfast within your purpose to continue saying the truth. And no matter how stupid or how pathetic someone may think I am, and I'm screaming about Trump even louder. I'm screaming about him even louder, because the more you tell me he's not a good man, the louder I will bark. The louder, I mean, my memes about him are there, and, you know, people think I'm crazy and radicalized. I don't really care, yeah? You know, satya meaning truth in Sanskrit.
Right.
Yeah. Satya, and to get the liberation and the mukti of the soul, you know, I know that it's very difficult to get angry about all this stuff, and, you know, we can feel it hot, but the purpose is there and the intentions are there for the greater good of humanity, and we'll do it. I mean, it may be a longer road than we anticipate. We don't know. Time is an illusion. Yeah. But we are here together and in unity consciousness together, you know, and this is for the children. This is for the souls. These are for all those souls. And as we raise together, as we rise in our consciousness and we work with intent and purpose, which is good, you know, life will take a different turn for sure. And we have to do this work in the interim. You know, I'm thinking of actually going to Afghanistan in next month to help a very dear friend of mine who's done a documentary called Finding Soraya. And I make a pledge to people. I mean, she's asked me, she came last week and she's making a second one called Bacha Boys, about young boys that get sold and trafficked in Afghanistan. And, you know, or get the children that get married from the age of 3 to 30, 40-year-olds. I'm not going to share the story here, and I know we're speaking about heavy stuff, but this is where I say that, look, it's great that I'm sharing information at sort of on the digital arena, and sharing sort of the memes, the funny stuff, the serious stuff, the save the children stuff. And right now it's like ensuring that we are sort of on this whole subject about Trump, and ensuring that we get the story straight about him and still fight. No, he won. No, he won. But it doesn't still stop my main intention for getting into this. And I said to you earlier on today, Coleen, that I struggle with the political side of this, right? I mean, I get it. I understand it.
I've never considered myself to be politically astute, but it's still the foundation, the core of this is for the children. So I am thinking of going and helping her. Right now, she said, I don't want to involve you because it's very dangerous. You know, she goes, when I did the first documentary, beautiful girl, beautiful, brave woman to go to Afghanistan. She's Afghani herself. And she's so connected. She says, Alpa, everything just works because I live in no fear, right? It's just beautiful because she goes, I'd be walking down, I'd just dodge a bullet literally. And I'm like, wow, right? And she's telling me these stories and I'm just like, now that's a badass, right? And she doesn't even talk about it. She doesn't even, you know, there's just, her name is Nadia Khan. And so, yeah, she's done that documentary, Finding Soraya, and she's on her second one. And she said, the money will come, everything will come. I'm going on the 10th. And right now it's like, okay, well, do you need any help? What can I do? What should I do? Let me come with you. And she goes, I don't want to take you with me because, you know, oh gosh. But anyway, it's, we've got to do stuff at the other side of this. So sorry, I got emotional, guys. Me and Coleen are crying here.
Perfectly natural. It's what we should be doing because we are mankind. So we're not human beings, we're mankind. And we need to just start being kind to one another and intolerant of people who will not participate on a loving level. So it's their choice, but there have to be consequences for their actions. And we are the vast majority. And like Colleen has been saying throughout the show, we have to start acting like it. So right here, right now, take back your power. And to all of our beautiful friends in the UK, I guarantee you, the police force is just a house of cards. They are not there. They cannot stop you. And knock them over, push them over, and take back your power. Occupy Parliament. Don't let anybody in or out. And take down any semblance of government. The COVID will end immediately as a result of it, and you'll be free. And and believe me, wherever freedom is exercised freely anywhere in this world, Donald Trump will be there. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. In whatever form and numbers are necessary, he will be there. You have to do this for yourself. This process is that you cannot wait for a savior to come and rescue you. You have to do it. You have to be part of this process. So
100%. I think today's been a really heart-centered and heartwarming, emotional show, but very, very beautiful. And I'm so glad that you were here today, Colleen. I really appreciate you. You know, such a warm and empathic nature you have, and we can feel that in the energy of your posts and all of it. So I really enjoy it. I've enjoyed today, as even though some of the subjects we've touched on have been sensitive, you know. Two women crying together.
Yeah,
I do. I cry quite a lot, but hey, this is just our inner sensitivities. You know, it's not been easy, but you know, we're doing our bit. So
yeah.
I think so I think we've how many have we hit the 2-hour mark? Yeah, we always do. So guys, thank you so much. I think we've covered quite a lot today. And I, as usual, always look forward to doing the next one. Won't leave it as long this time. Next time we'll get back to talking about stuff that's catching up on what all the other stuff that's going on. But today's been nice.
Yeah, it'll be a sprint. It'll be a sprint from now on. So, yeah. Trump won the election in a landslide. Help is coming to everyone. Christmas cheer is coming to everyone. It has to, because what you described at the beginning of the show is horrific, and it's happening. It's real. They're aware of it, and they want to change the tide. The tide needs to be changed now. It does.
Yeah. So guys, thank you both. Thank you so much. I love you, and until the next time.